Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Tips with Miss Guy. I'm really happy to be here this evening, even as we share via this podcast. So, for those that are new to this podcast, this has been geared to the education sector. Something I'm very passionate about, and today we're going to be speaking about the school climate. So much is happening all around us in the educational sector. So we're going to use this platform today to speak about the climate in the school system. When I thought about what song can I use for my introduction, what came to mind was Rush Shorty Eye. We pushed the creator out, and even as we come in today, that's our song to start off this episode of Tips with Miss Guy. And I pray that even as we have this discussion this evening, that it will encourage somebody to become involved, even more in your child's education. I want to encourage teachers today, even as we speak about the climate in the school system, to keep on pushing. We want to speak to students that may listen. I know my students always tune in via YouTube, and we just want to have this discussion this evening, all right? So even as you come in, just say hi so I can big you up as we have this discussion today. So the school climate, I know you all saw, those videos circulating about violence in the school system. I see all around the world, teachers are resigning from teaching, all right, and we see so much happening all around us in the educational sector. All right, so we're going to use this opportunity so you all are free to drop your comments. I'm going to read comments, join the conversation. I believe a conversation is a starter to change. I know that, yes, action is necessary, but we first have to identify that there is a problem, and then we can look for solutions to fix the problem. All right. So welcome to today's episode of Tips with Miss Guy, and we are here for an entire season. So this is season 4, episode 2. So last week we just did some introductions and some tips, general education tips, and today we're gonna be speaking about the school climate and how we could make a positive change. I really wish that the students will contribute so they can put in their 2 cents. I want to hear from the parents and even teachers. If you're scrolling past and if you're a stakeholder and you're scrolling past this evening and you want to join the conversation, feel free to join this conversation. But I am very much passionate about education. I believe my passion started as a child, teaching those trees and, beating those posts and teaching them, different lessons. And my mother said I was so adamant about it. And, as a teacher, a tutor, and being in the school system, I believe that I have a right to speak up on, the climate of the school system. And, I want to share some ideas, some tips as to how I think a positive change can be made. And I want to hear from you as well. All right. So again, welcome to Tips with Miss Guy. And I want you to pay keen attention to that song. We push the creator out, and that's where I'm going to start today. All right. So welcome, 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 welcome. I want us to know, first of all, that I am a child of the Most High, so my perspective gonna lean to that direction. But if you have a different view, feel free to share your view. All right, but let's start there. So, what first of all, what is the climate of a school system? That's the first thing we need to define. All right, and when we speak about a school's climate, we are speaking about the quality and the character of that school's life. It speaks about the social and leadership of a school. It speaks about the student interaction and also parent involvement. So when we speak about the school climate, we are speaking about teachers, students, parents, all working together to produce what we know as a school system. And I want us to know that we all have a part to play in this whole setup of a school system. All right. And it's not merely who to blame. We play the blame game in this season. We see so much things happening in schools and we want to play the blame game. Let's blame the administrators. Let's blame the parents. Let's blame the students, right? But I want us to know that when we speak about the school system, we are speaking about all of us been involved in this entire equation of the school system. And I know that, in this time, so much is happening, but we have a part to play. We all have a part to play, the stakeholders, even persons, of influence. We have a part to play in this whole process. And I just want us to have this conversation today. All right. So the school system, I believe in this time, is one that we need to look into how it is being operated. We're gonna look at it from different angles, the spirituality behind it. We're gonna look at the parent-teacher interaction. We're gonna speak about the student-teacher interaction. All of these things have to be discussed when we speak about the climate of the school system. And I want us to know, even as parents, that this at the parent level, that we, first of all, we are very responsible as parents, as to how our children operate when they go into the school system. I could talk from my personal example as a child going to school and having parents, having the parents that I had. There are things that I was not allowed to do, right? My parents warned me well before I left home to go to school. My father always told us that if we want to go to school and embarrass him, then it's embarrassment we are looking for, right? So, as a parent, when it comes to your child, output in the school system, it is your responsibility. When your child go out there on a daily basis, they are going out to represent you, they are going out to represent your home, they are going out to represent your morals and values that is exemplified in them. Hallelujah. I'm going to say hallelujah because the God in me, but when we go out there, as students going out into the school system, we represent the homes that we belong to. So parents, I want to encourage you today that your child's behavior, your child's conduct, your child's deportment, your child's attitude towards learning starts with you. I believe in the home, that's the first place of learning. So even before we went out into the school system, our home nurtured us to an extent. And when we look at the school system today, being in the school system, sometimes there's a question to ask. In some situations, what homes are these students coming from? Because in a home that I grew up in, I could not come out and react in such a way because I know the home that I have to go back to at the end of the day. So I want to encourage parents, to be, so much more involved. For those that are involved in your child's, your child's education and the way a child is conducting themselves at school, and you showing up to make sure that that is being done well, I commend you 100%. But I want to encourage parents today, it is your responsibility to know what is happening with your child at the school. It is your responsibility to know what is happening with your child at the school. I remember my dad used to do something. I didn't understand it in the time. I find it, he shouldn't have done it. But looking back now, I understand why it was necessary. So my dad used to literally show up at my school randomly and go to my form teachers to find out how, or my school teachers to find out how I was performing, how was my conduct. And he didn't announce it to me. He didn't tell me, hey, I'm coming to your school today to check out your conduct or coming to see how you're going at school. I should just see him walk in and walk back out, and he had nothing to say to me. He didn't come to me, he came to my teachers. And I believe the parents of today, I could say, because I'm in a school system and I see it, like most times, not all the time, some will message, some will reach out, but a lot of the times they just leave it up. We come at the beginning of the school term and we come at the end of the school term just to get reports and to get, whatever, unless the child does something, the parent is called in. And I really want to encourage parents of today to become even more involved in your child's school life. All right? I want to encourage parents of today to show up randomly. You know, when a child don't expect you to show up, and you can see them in their full colors, right? For some, you will see them in good, you will see them acting well, and for some, you will see them in some ways you don't even expect. All right. So I want to encourage the parents to be active, be on your child's PTA, right? Show up to your parents, teachers association meetings, and I think in this time most PTAs they have virtual login, so you don't even have to leave home or leave wherever you are to be a part of your child's PTA. I want to encourage parents to become more involved, in your child's school life, right? So when we talk about the school climate, we first talk about parents sending their children into this system, right? And I want you to know, when you send them there, as I said before, you don't have the opportunity to just leave them up, right? It is your duty to ensure that you walk with them all the way through, from primary, from nursery, primary, secondary, even up to tertiary, right? Once you are involved, stay involved all the way through. Some parents, they stay on top of their children throughout primary school, and then when they get to high school, they just think that they're big enough now. But no, that's the time that you need to ensure that what is really happening to your child in this system. All right, you have to ensure that your child don't get lost in the system, of the school. You have to ensure that your child is maintained throughout the entire journey, right? So parents, I want to encourage you, right, to really become so much more involved. Yes, sometimes as adults we become so active in all other areas of our life, and what we notice is that many times we leave up the children, right? But we want to be a difference in this season. We want to contribute in a different way, right? So ensure that you pay attention to what you are allowing for your child. You have to ensure that your child is getting the best opportunity possible. And I know persons tuning from different countries, but I want to speak to those that are in Trinidad and Tobago, especially where you don't even have to pay, for your educational journey, right? So some countries you have to pay, right? But we basically don't have to pay. We are being blessed with the opportunity to send our children to school for free. All right. Ensure that we take advantage of this opportunity, right? So I really want to encourage parents today, to ensure that you're even speaking to your children before they go to school. That's a thing. Are you speaking life into them before they leave your house to go into school on a daily basis? Are you praying with them before they leave home to go to school? Are you speaking life into them? Are you affirming them? Because what I see a lot in the school system is a lot of children looking for affirmation. And the weirdest thing, they tend to look for it in the wrong places. But as parents, you have to speak into the life of your child so that when they go into the school system, they already know who they are. If you are a Christian, they already know the I ams, I am chosen, I am loved. You ensure that you affirm them well before they even get into that school gate. So at the end of the day, when they get there, they are confident in as to who they are and whose they are. All right. And so that's some tips to the parents, ensure that you are the model that they look at for their source of affirmation when it comes to, their confidence, allow your voice to be the voice that they know as their primary source of affirmation after God, right? So I want to encourage parents today to spend time building up your children, building up their character, building up, their core values. It is so important to equip them with their core values at home. Hallelujah. So what they start at home is going to end abroad. Right, but most of the times you see them coming into the school gate, and yes, I know there are some that get good training and good teaching at home, but they come and they follow the crowd, right? But majority of them, when you speak to them, they don't have prayer at home, right? And that's the thing about these children, they are so honest, right? They say no, we don't pray at home, all of that. And I want to encourage parents to make it a habit, right? Yes, we're busy, but if we have to wake up a little earlier just to have our devotions at home before you send them out into this whole ecosystem of children that comes from many different homes. You ensure that you lay foundation in them before they leave your house. Hallelujah. So when you take them into the school system now, you have to ensure that you basically stay on top of them all the way through, even with their assignments. Parents, do you still check school bags? Do we still check school bags? Do we still check school bags? Like parents, are you on top of your children's assignments? Or when they tell you they don't have any work, you tell them okay. But ensure that you are staying on top of their assignments all the way up to SBAs, all the way up to IAs, they're doing CAPE. Ensure that you are ensuring, right, that they don't have assignments outstanding. It's your responsibility to stay on top of them. Yeah. Sometimes the teachers may reach out to you and say, hey, this student is not fulfilling assignments, etc. But as a parent, you should be checking with them. Do you have assignments? They're telling you no, right? You say, hey, well, pass the book, let me see. Let me message Miss Guy and see if you have assignments. Let me message Miss Brown and see if you have assignments. It is in your right as a parent to ensure that you are staying on top of your child. Yeah, it is your right to make sure that you are staying there. If you're buying the books, you're buying the uniform, you're buying the expensive shoes. If you're doing all of that, do the extra and ensure that you are staying on top of their assignments. You're staying on top of all that you have to stay on top of as a parent. So let's switch a bit. So first of all, as a teacher and as a tutor in the system, I really want parents to know that the teachers that are there, I can't speak for all, but I can speak for a lot. They are your partners in this process. Yes, I know many times we have running in sometimes with teachers, etc. But in the grand scheme of things, in this whole education climate, the teachers are your partners, right? They are responsible when you go to work. They are responsible for ensuring that your child is well. So it is our duty to ensure that we are trying to maintain that kind of relationship with our child's parents, our child's teachers. Ensure that you maintain that relationship, ensure that you are staying on top of that relationship, ensure that there is a relationship. And it is your duty to ensure you have that relationship with your child's teachers, right? Ensure you have that mutual understanding that here, what we partnering together on this child's education journey. Make sure they know your face, they know your name, right? Ensure that you show up. Even in times where there's a problem to be addressed, ensure that you have a relationship with your child, especially your child's form teachers. It's not just to go and collect a report at the end of a school term, but it's to ensure that throughout the term you have that relationship with the teachers that are involved with your child. It is your duty and it is your responsibility. All right. And we're going on to teachers. All right. So in the whole education and school system climate, right, we are seeing where, teachers, have a major part to play in this whole education journey. They are the ones that are responsible for delivering the curriculum to your child. All right. And as teachers, it is our responsibility to ensure that we are doing that with excellence. Right? It's not just a salary, it's not just a paycheck, it is not just a job to do because you couldn't find another one. I believe that the education that we pour into students today, we are building the future of tomorrow, right? I want to encourage teachers today to see a job as one of honor. Yes, sometimes you are underpaid in some instances. Being in the system, you realize that yes, you get a paycheck at the end of the month, but sometimes what you're pouring out, there is no money that you could pay for being. Sometimes you're pouring out the curriculum, you're teaching the lessons, and then on the side of that, you're somebody else's mommy. You are a counselor, you're an advisor here. I saw a post yesterday. So when people think it's just teaching, You become a mother in some cases, you become a counselor in some cases, you become all kind of things to students in some cases. So I want to big up today the teachers that are out here pushing it, those that are out here representing well, those that are out here, really pouring out with excellence. I want you to know, if you're listening today, you're gonna catch the replay, that what you put out is appreciated. If you haven't heard it in a while, what you put out is very much appreciated. I see teachers every day working hard, going beyond. They go beyond their call of duty in many cases. Sometimes you see them, no, not in a boastful way, but you see them doing extra, buying lunch sometimes, buying breakfast sometimes to students that don't have, right? So teachers, there are a lot of teachers today that I know personally that go above and beyond the call of duty. Yeah. And I want to say we really appreciate you. Right? Many times we don't hear that side of it. We hear the teachers not doing this and not doing that. But there are some that really, really, really do their best. And one thing that we see in the school system today, and I'm going to mention it, some teachers are feeling the burnout, right? Because at the end of the day, as teachers, we are really, as teachers, they are contracted to deliver material and they are contracted to do that, right? So what happens after a teacher does all of that? They go through the extra mile. They ensure they create notes. Hi, Chanel. They ensure they create notes. They ensure they do their best. They ensure they do the parent teachers conferences and they do all the calls, and yet the children are still not performing. What does a teacher do in that situation? Right? And I see a lot of teachers going through the burnout, right? And I think teachers deserve mental holidays, right? Because you see them a lot, going through the burnout. They're doing their part, some going the extra mile, creating fun presentations, and they're doing all the things that they are called to do, but yet, they're not seeing the results from the students. What do they do? Right? So that's something that we need to pay attention to. Teachers are going through the burnout, right? Not just physical burnout, but the mental burnout, right? So as parents, as I said earlier, I really want us to partner with teachers, right? So for example, they have homework, and as a parent, you see your child coming home every day and not picking up a book, telling you they don't have no homework. Listen, I remember as a child, we always had homework. Even when you don't have homework, you have revision, right? So as parents, let us work with our teachers to ensure that, yes, they are getting their assignments done and they are covering what they need to cover. It is our responsibility to work together, in this whole school system, like it is our responsibility, to really, really work together as parents too. Another thing that we are noticing when we ask students that are in high forms, what you want to be, they don't know. You ask them, what plans do you have for the next 5 years? They don't know. And at fifth form, not to know what you have planned to do is kind of, like you might not know specifically where you want to be as yet, but there must be some kind of planning and there must be some kind of guidance when it comes to these things, because I believe that this generation obviously is our next generation of leaders, etc. Right? So there needs to be some kind of guidance, in order for the school climate to change. I believe that there needs to be some more partnership, right, between parents and teachers. I believe that there needs to be some more days where we have parent, teacher, students interaction other than, basic days, like there needs to be some days where you do when you have career day, bring your parent to school day. You need to have some more days of interaction so the student know that, listen, it's not just I have a life at home, I have a life at school, but together I have a combined life. So even as they come out, in these type of days, they could see where they are holistically being grown up, right? I really, really would love to see days like that. Bring your parent to school day, have a day where your parents come out and, do different things, not just academic wise, but sporting wise, let us see it on a larger scale, So when we talk about the climate of the school system, We are saying that we are all a part of it. We are all a part of it. All right. I want to say that there needs to be even greater community involvement when it comes to the school system. It's not enough just to show up on a one-day basis and speak about the impact that you are having on a school. There's so much work to be done. I'm calling on the church. I'm calling on the church. I am in a school, and the church has a part to play even in the moral development of students. And yes, we really shy away from these type of outreach missions, but there needs to be greater church involvement in our school system, right? Not just for a one-off event and show up and all of that. There needs to be a continuous involvement. How can we pose missions that are really geared towards helping our students to develop spiritually? Right, yes, and I want to say that there are some churches that are involved, through the RI program, the religious instruction programs and stuff like that. And I really say kudos, and encourage you to keep on going. But as a church, we need to look into strategic ways to become more involved in the school system. How can we help? I say we because I am counted. How can we truly help? In our school system, if you could stand up and point fingers and say who needs to do better and who needs to do better. But as a church, we need to do better as a community, who have so much giftings and talents. We are the musicians, coming to the schools and create a vibe, let the students know that there is more to living. For some, they feel as though they are being punished and sent to these, institutions. But when they see school as a fun place, a place of enjoyment, a place where they could come and learn new things, a place where they can see themselves, sometimes I could say that in the school system, we try to teach a fish how to climb a tree. And the funny thing is, many students, they don't see people that literally walk and function like them, so they feel as though they're out of place. But the more community involvement we have, the more volunteer programs we have, I believe that the students will see themselves in somebody that may come and visit, So I want to encourage, the stakeholders outside of the parents, the teachers, and the students that, listen, you have a part to play in what happens in the school system today. You have an organization, you have a gifting of talent, reach out to the schools, reach out to education, say, here, I want to pose a program that can really help the young men. Really and truly, these young men need to see men in action. Have programs that you have, think about how you can use your skill set to create programs that can impact that generation. Some of them have so much gifting, so much talent, so much, ideas that they want to execute, but they haven't seen a person do what they want to do as yet. So it's kind of hard for them to believe that it is possible. But when we decide to get up, so I want to speak to the community. We have a part to play in this entire discussion of the change that we want to see in the school climate, right? Some of us, we may have the funding, right? We may not really have the time. We may have the funding. I might be saying, you know what, I want to contribute to any initiative that is being done to cause a positive change. I want to contribute to school clubs and all that. Find a club that you can contribute to. There are school clubs, there are tourism clubs, there are photography clubs in some schools. I see that happening in Compre, right? Find a way. If you have the funds, say, hey, I want to sponsor a camera, I want to sponsor, refreshments for a field trip or whatever it is. But as a community, we have a part to play in the change that we want to see in the school system. So I'm not going to be very lengthy today, but I just wanted to speak about the climate of the school system. And I believe that we are not too far gone. There can be positive turnaround. We want school to be a place of learning, not just academic learning, but skill set learning, a place of identifying, a place of where the students could feel at home, knowing that, it is a place that is made and created for them, and I really, really want to encourage us all, parents, teachers, stakeholders, community workers, that we all have a part to play in this whole school system. So I know when we see fights and stuff, that's the kind of things that we spread around. That's the kind of things that we share, right? But let us become involved. Let us get on the ground and see how we can make positive change in the school system. It is our, it is our responsibility as a community. And I saw Signal Hill doing a program today. It takes a village to raise a child, and indeed it does. So I really want to encourage us all to see how we fit in as parents. You ensure that your child is making a positive change when they go out there. Make sure to let them know that they are representing you when they are in the school system. As I said before, parents, show up randomly, see your children's conduct, see how they are, coping in the classroom. But sometimes you may see a child coming home and, smiling and everything, but in the classroom, they may be going through a lot of pressure, right? There were times in my school life where my parents had to step in and say, I don't like how my child is being treated here, there, or whatever the case may be. So as parents, your voice needs to be heard. Your child needs to know that I have a support system that will stand for me in the middle of all that is around me. So parents, you have a great responsibility for what happens with your child. There was times, and I was speaking to a student today, when I was at the CXC level, and SBAs will not be done on time. I had a subject area where I believe it was almost to the start of fifth form, and we did nothing for the SBA. And I told my dad, I said, Dad, we didn't start anything for this SBA. And what he did, he put on his clothes and he went to the principal and he asked that question, why is this subject area no SBA is being done? And guess what? Yes, the teacher was angry at the end of the day because they want to know who parent came and said something. But by the next week, SBA started and it was done on time. So parents, your voice you have something to say. It is not your child to come home and complain and then you say, well, they're going to start it eventually. Get involved, call a form teacher, talk to the principal, talk to the vice principal. So in order for us to really have that climate of the school that really is conducive for the learning of our children, we have to be a part of it. Parents, teachers, the community, stakeholders, we have to be a part of it. Not just seeing when things go bad and spreading that. But when things that are good is happening, are we promoting it? So I just want to say today that we have a part to play. And that's all we heard today on this podcast. Let us see how we can contribute. Let us see how we can make a positive change. Let us see how we can become involved. Go to your child's PTA meeting. Yes, we're busy, right? But it's once a month. Even though they don't show up to all, find out what happened at the meeting, ask for the minutes of the meeting, etc. Become involved in your child's PTA. And I remember, like even at the PTA level, I believe that once you're part of that community, that you can go to that school's PTA. So, for example, if you live in Lambo, you are invited to go to the Lambo School PTA meeting. Like, you don't have to be a parent, but you are a stakeholder, you're part of the community. So if we really want to see positive change in our school system, we have to be a part of the positive change that we want to see, right? I am doing my part. And I said to myself, I said, you can do more, right? And that's why what we want to do here at Scholars is that, where we can do initiatives. Like, for example, I'm speaking to students and they don't know how to study. Right? So I am looking to see how can I create a program or some sort of a Zoom session or something that I could do to help students to form a study method that works for them. Right? And that's something I could do based on my skill set. Or you may look into yourself and see, you know what? Maybe I have a skill set in some kind of accounting or POB or social studies. Maybe I could pull a few students before the exam and see if I could help, right? So whatever you can do, add to the whole thing. Don't just complain about this and that and the other, right? You add to it, right? So I just want to encourage us today to really, really pray as well for education system. Being in it some days are kind of depressing, to be honest, because the potential of the system and how it can be. And really and truly, I really love the direction that the Division of Education is taking, and I really hope that they follow through it in terms of making changes to our curriculum. I really want to see a curriculum that is more central, really geared towards our island's development. Really geared towards our culture as a people. I will really love to see it in my lifetime. Hopefully, it is done in my lifetime. But I will really love to see, a system that gets the students out of the classroom sometimes. I thank God for my experience while doing my degree. That's the most outside time I ever had while at school. Right. And I said, I wish when I was in Tobago, we did more outdoor style field trips and getting the children out of the classroom, right, into the communities, right? So I really want to see an education system that is really, for example, students are doing accounting, get them to go have bank tours, etc. Students that are doing agriculture, get them out to the farms, like get them out of the four walls and into the community, have them, shadow a business person for a day. Like, really and truly, I really want to see an education system that is so hands-on and involved that when a child leaves school, that they have a clear understanding as to what is out there. I will really love to see some NGOs come in and teach the children, holistically how to do budgets, come in and teach them etiquette, teach them how to do different things, different life things, NGOs, come forth, and really, really come to make a positive change in the school system. There's a lot of work to be done. And somebody might say, well, they can do POB if they want to do that, but really and truly, everybody can do POB, right? So at the end of the day, get it even in on the primary school level scale. Credit unions. I remember when I was in primary school, I'm not sure they still do it, but the credit unions will come every week to ensure that we are saving, and so I really, really would love to see an education system that is geared towards raising the child up holistically and, having more things done for the children at that level, so that when they come out of school, that they are holistically developed and they are ready to be respectable citizens of the community. Right? I really, really want to see that happening. I believe we will continue to have conversations about the school climate, right? So we have some interesting guests that are earmarked for the next couple episodes. All right. So we are here every first and third Tuesday at 7 p.m. All right. So ensure to join us, right? The episodes are not lengthy, I promise. And, going forward, we just want to have this conversation. And, hopefully some people want to reach out and say, hey, I really want to partner with you, in pushing our education system that is, top tier, right? And we will see how these conversations lead us. All right. Hopefully we're gonna have some students come in and give their point of view. We're gonna have some teachers chiming in as well, giving their point of view, parents who want to share their method as to how they are developing their child. And so some parents just need to know, right? They want some tips, they want some clarity. Some parents say I'm struggling and I need help to balance life and also balance my child's educational needs. All right, so you want to have some of those conversations. So if you have those tips under your belt and you want to join us on an episode, feel free to reach out, send us a message at Scholars Immaculate Academy. You can send us a message on Instagram and Facebook, or you can message me on my personal profile, or you can reach out, send us an email at scholars academy 868 at gmail.com, scholars academy 868 at gmail.com, and let's see how we can continue this conversation on education. All right, it is my heart, it is my passion, and I just want to see more done. And if this is a way to start the conversation, we will start the conversation. All right, so God bless all of you, and thank you all for staying throughout this episode of Tips with Miss Guy. And I pray that you are gonna run away with information and feel free to add your point of view in the comments as well, because I'm open to hear, your take, as a parent. Tell us your viewpoint. It may be controversial, but it's all a part of the conversation. All right. So God bless you all. Have an awesome time and see you all again. I believe it will be in March. All right. So God bless you all and stay connected.